Hey, Mega Moms, Jessica Hensley here with Real Estate Mega Moms, where we help moms create a life and a business that they love. And we're interviewing one of those moms today, Mary Hale. I'm so excited to introduce you all to this amazing woman. I just got to know Mary this summer, and she went through a micro team program. So we're going to be talking about her business, what life is like with a toddler and one on the way, and just how she's juggling it all. Hey, Mary.
Hey.
Thanks for being with me today. I'm excited to introduce you to our crew. So, Mary, why don't we just start out by talking about you and your business? I think the first thing I like to always talk about is like your origin story. So what got you into the business? And you should also share like where you serve and where you live.
Okay. So real estate is sort of in my DNA. My grandpa did real estate for a lot of his professional career, and then basically got out of the business and my dad jumped in. And my dad is my boss dad, as I refer to him. And so he's been in the business his whole professional career. I've been in the business my whole professional career, which is roughly 12 years. And so how that sort of happened, I really wasn't like planning on doing real estate as a career, but like I had some other ideas, but nothing that I was like had my heart set on. So when I was like a semester away from graduating college, my dad's like greatest assistant of all time, who's still like a dear family friend to us, found a job that just could pay her more at the time, and that's what she needed for her family. And so she jumped out. And my dad was like, do you want to do this? Because I had always been in the office, like doing back office clerical stuff, like scanning old and archiving old files and what have you, since junior high, and then stuffing envelopes for Christmas mailers before that, as a kid. And so he's like, you kind of already know the lingo, the business. If you want this job, that's yours. And I was like, I think you should like maybe, post a job posting and like look around, interview. And he's like, I mean, I could, but you would be good at it. Do you want it? And I was like, oh, the economy is not great. I'm about to graduate college, and like, it's not a bad gig. Like, sure.
Yeah.
So I did, as I was finishing school, I think I carried like 21 units and worked like 3/4 time for him because he needed that position filled, and then got my license a couple of years in, and then the rest is history. So
and you decided to stay with it. And what she's not saying is that, maybe one day might take over the family business, and there's some aspirations there. So I will say this, a lot of time, we're moms in real estate, right? You grew up a realtor's kid. So it's a testament that you were interested in it, because that means, sometimes I hear from the kids that their parents were just like totally absent. Mm-hmm. Right. And so that's not what you had. You, of course, I know your dad had your mom, and, that's probably helped, but you weren't burned out on real estate from the beginning. So that's pretty awesome.
Right. Yeah. And this whole thing has really morphed into, me like working as an assistant to my dad for the first like several years. And then now we really are just, I would say it feels much more like a partnership where he and I both wheel and deal and take clients and, do the forefront rainmaking type stuff, to the point where we've had to hire an assistant and other things over the years, like part-time assistants. And then we just hired we hired a transaction coordinator a while back, and now we've recently hired a listing partner, coordinator, and then also a showing agent, who they're one and the same right now.
Yeah.
But that's how we got, that's why your stuff interested me. I started listening to the podcast because I was like, I love my dad, and he is amazing, truly, but he's not a mom trying to be a realtor. And so I needed some inspiration, some commiseration, needed to listen to somebody who like gets like the mom life, because my mom stayed at home with us kids when we were small. And so, he didn't have to like do the cooking, cleaning, laundry, and then also work and juggle all that. And so I'm kind of figuring out how to do that. And your podcast was like a little breath of fresh air. And then I realized like, oh, you do this micro team thing. That's kind of the direction that we need to be headed, because, you know, I can't do what my dad did during my growing up years. Like I can't have kids and work 50, 60 plus hours a week.
Right. Because he had an amazing partner that was able to fill in the gaps, and you have an amazing partner too. I've met him, and he's awesome. But it is just different, you know, it's different roles for moms and dads. And I think that's kind of blending a little bit more now than probably it did when we were kids. But still, you know, it's just so important for us moms. I know for me, I just want to be present. I don't want to miss anything, you know? So it's like, that's sort of why we started this podcast and the group Real Estate Mega Moms, is so we could share that, you know, you don't have to choose, you can do both. And you can do both really, really well. Right. And you have discovered that. I'm so excited for you. I'm going to share.
Like 6 months ago, I would have not told you that. Like I was thinking that I was going to, because I have a baby on the way, I'm due in May. And I was thinking like, okay, we want another baby, but that just means I'm gonna have to step back down into like a clerical secretary type role. And my dad's gonna have to like go back, like we're gonna have to revert, you know, back to what we were 10 years ago, which I was the assistant and he was doing all the appointments and all of the showings. And, you know, like it was much less of a partnership. But now I can like easily tell you, I can still be at the forefront, and we can still be like working toward that transition of like me taking over the business and our clients seeing me as the expert. Cause I mean, I know what I'm doing now, you know, I've been doing 12 years. And so, you know, instead of like taking some steps backwards in that process of putting me at the forefront of our business, we can kind of continue on that road, while I do the infant thing again. So
yeah. I mean, it was perfect timing. And when Mary and I met this summer, she booked a discovery call with us, and just to talk about the micro team and, you know, how it might work. And I think you first talked to Katie, and Katie's like, oh yeah, this is what you need. This is a good fit.
And she like was great. I was hooked on Katie for sure.
Yes, she is awesome. And she's really good at, you know, uncovering who is a good fit for what program. And, you know, because we're all about like only join if this is going to actually change your life, because it is an investment for sure. And so anyway, we talked, you, me, and your dad, and it was just so cool to see your dad and how proud of you he is. It's very evident to me. And like, I know for me, that's my dream, is to leave my real estate business, because I've built this business. I don't want it to just fizzle away, and, you know, or maybe somebody buy it. I mean, I don't know, but I would much rather leave it to my son or him to kind of come into it and take it over. So I know that your dad's so incredibly proud of you for even wanting to. And this micro team model, I think, has made it. So before I have a couple questions, but I also want to remind everyone, Mary is, she's part of a boutique office in California. In fact, in like LA area. What's the actual town that you're in?
So we're technically La Mirada, which we always tell people it's like close to Knott's Berry Farm, if you know where that is. It's closer to Knott's Berry Farm, but also Disneyland is like 20 minutes away. So that's kind of, you know, gives people reference points.
Yeah. Anaheim. Okay. Yeah. So they're doing it all, you know, and I have found that this micro team concept is so cool for the boutique brokerage, because essentially you're just, you know, setting up a business, and your dad had an amazing, successful business, you know, before. So it's not like he needed to reinvent the wheel. But as a lot of men and high performers tend to do, they just do the things and kind of do all of it. And it's really hard to delegate, right? So,
and that's totally me too. Like, I'm such a micromanager. It's terrible.
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed micromanager. I'm working on it.
Because the myth that we tell ourselves, And I mean, I think we really believe it, right? No one can do it like I can do it. And it
Mhm.
is true,
Mhm.
but some people might be able to do it better or in a different way. And even if they do it 70% of the way you do it, if it's not the highest best use of your time, it's way better to delegate.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's just hard because it's our name on the line. We totally
Yes.
like glossed over that. Like we're not part of a big name brokerage. Like we are Nordine Realty. That's my maiden name. And so yeah, it's really just him and I. We have like one other agent that works under us, but it is not, doing business at the volume that we are. So yeah, everything comes back on Vance Nordine or Mary Nordine Hale. So
Yeah. And you were working. So before we had our discovery call, I remember you sharing that the success level you guys were at, you were working, wasn't it 40 or more hours a week? I mean,
mm-hmm.
and they were wanting to have another baby at that time, and maybe like we're just finding out, and didn't tell me yet, but
I think
but
week one with your
you
class
found out.
that I was pregnant. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because the discovery call was so cool. She's like, we're trying for another one, and I'm working 40 plus hours, and I don't know if I can do it, and I don't want to let my dad down, but I want to, I want to have this business and have, and it's like I want to have it all. So why don't you walk me through, or our audience through, what was your experience like with onboarding with the micro team, and what did it actually teach you, and what does your business look like now?
Okay, so that's a big
Pretty
question.
loaded. So let's start
Yeah.
with what is your experience like starting the micro team?
So, starting micro team, I'll probably talk to Katie a little bit more than you as far as like getting onboarded, which that's her job. And she's amazing, just takes really good care of everybody one-on-one and makes sure you're all set up. You guys, I think re-recorded like all of your videos that go with micro team formula, like 1 or 2 weeks into my program. So, which was great and fine. And you guys did it pretty seamlessly. All the videos like lined up and Katie made sure they were all on our spreadsheet. So that was great. And it was nice to be able to to get the fresh, I never really watched through many of the old ones, but it was nice to get like the super fresh material. And it's all super relevant because it's current. And trying to think what else for onboard. Oh, and then like doing the you have the option, you could do Zoom calls, like group coaching calls once or twice. And you guys changed up the format a little bit. So now it's like the first one of the week is for the team leaders. And then the second one is like, you can bring on if you have a micro team already or members of a micro team, you can bring them in and have them chat too. I never actually did that because our listing coordinator / showing agent is so new to our team. And like, it was one of those, like, we knew we got a really great person. And so we had to and we needed her help desperately. So we hired her and added her to our team. And then I was kind of going back and having to go do the cleanup of okay, now let's put a system in place and let's get some action plans. Let's define your role. So because I was scrambling doing that and still am, frankly, I did never have her come to those, but those were super helpful in all the ways, and just getting FaceTime with you and other moms. That's another thing that I really like about your stuff, is that because it's an investment and because it's not some $200 program, which that'd be great, but it's not. It's more than that. And so you have to be producing at a certain volume in order to be able to afford something like that.
Yeah.
Or just have a bunch of money laying around because your partner works a bunch and wants to invest in you. And that's great too. But most of the time, I would say most of the people in your program are, they're doing real estate. It's their career type people. They're not doing it part-time while they work part-time at something else. And so just getting to rub shoulders with them, bounce ideas off of them, get Canva templates from them, get what to wear advice or where to be.
Everyone's very sharing, for sure. They're willing to give you everything. And as am I, of course, you get the whole program. So for those that don't know, I mean, probably if they're watching our podcast, they've heard me talk about micro team a lot, or maybe you've read the book, but why don't you share How was your business structured before, and what was the mindset shift and kind of the differentiator that you felt like, oh yeah, the micro team makes sense for a boutique brokerage?
Yeah. So before, for the past, 10 years, really, my dad and I have functioned almost as like a uniperson. We share an email address. I go straight for him. He goes straight for me, like for emails and stuff. And I just, hey, I'm signing this for you. And like on emails, nothing legal, but, we always are in the know on all of our deals. So when you talk to one of us, it's like talking to both of us, and we, function as this uniperson, which is fairly easy to do when your boss is your dad and you think alike and you just know each other really well. And it's not so easy to do when you add a third person. And we needed a third person, so we added this licensed agent who we actually sold her house like 8 or 9 years ago, and she was great. And then she got her license a few years back, we noticed, because she signed up for like another like coaching type program that we had some affiliation with. And so we saw her like sending out like their material, and we're like, hey, she got her license. And so we hired her on, and then we're like, we gotta hire her. Like, she's ready to join our team, but we got to figure out the details. And three's a crowd when you're trying to be a uniperson. And so we knew we needed a system where like certain things were delegated to her, and we were still, we could still sort of be a uniperson, but she had separate things that she was in charge of, and we had to define all that. And then, what was I going to say? Oh, we also it was very important to us that we are the face of the business still, and she is not, which sounds kind of terrible. I mean, I'm getting used to saying it, and I'm like, I need to find a better way to say it. But the truth is, like, it's our business. It's my dad's business. And someday will be my business. And I don't want those clients to come back and call her cell phone when they're ready to transact again. I want them to call my cell phone or call my brokerage, office number or my email. And so, figuring out how to do all that. And that was one of the things that we talked to you about it on our call when we were kind of feeling you guys out, like, this is something we want to do. Mm-hmm. And you were like, yeah, of course. Everybody says that, and everybody's concerned about that. And I have like a way of making all that work. And we're like, oh, okay, great. Well, why not? And so that has been, so we've defined her role pretty well by now. Thanks to the fact that you kind of have all these job descriptions like written out. Like, everybody's kind of familiar with like a sales agent, but your tweak on that is a showing agent, which I love, and works out a lot better for like, down the road client retention type stuff. Yeah. And then, listing partner / listing coordinator, whatever you choose to call that. And you have a couple other roles that you've defined, and it's a plug and play thing. And we are finding that to be very true. We have to tweak it and make it work within our own systems and our own, to-do plans or action plans in our CRM and stuff. So there's a lot of fine tuning, but the basic premise is that we can add this great person to our team, and they, are not going to like steal the show, even though they're amazing. And it's going to, help our business function. And she still has the opportunity to work her own book of business and make money as well. And it doesn't affect her, because she's not going to be so busy. She's not going to do her own book of business 40 hours a week. That's just not where she's at. Mm-hmm. And so she can do stuff for us and help our team grow and be better, and also work on her own stuff and make her own money. And that's all fair and good and great. And so, that has really changed things. And so now that I want to say that we have like everything all figured out with her, and like we have all of our fine tuning done, we do not, because as you know, like, I think the third week into my coaching program, I got super, super, super like the sickest I've been in my life, pneumonia, and sinus infection and lung infection and all the things, and was pregnant and, ended up in ER. And it's been a long road, and I'm like still not 100%. So I haven't done a lot of the fine tuning, but now that like I can see on the horizon that there is, I will be done with that. Hopefully like before the end of the year is kind of my goal. Now we have to look into the future and say, okay, in 4.5 months, I'm going to have an infant and I'm going to be wanting to cut back my hours significantly.
Yeah.
So what is our next hire? And so because of micro team formula, we've been able to figure out what that needs to be, and kind of how to go about not only like defining what that person will do and how they'll fit into our team, but like literally how to hire them.
Yeah.
We'll have materials on like how to post a job description, how to write a good job description, how to kind of vet people, and tips and tricks on how to feel people out. And so I feel really prepared to take that
Good.
next step in the next couple of months and get an assistant up and running for us,
I
and not
Mary,
40
you
hours.
have been like the model student for sure. And like she said, she had a major health scare. And of course, that was all while she was pregnant too. So that just compounds everything. And so you've been on our heart and praying for you through that time. But even with that, like, I don't even think you missed a week. You might have missed 1 week, but she was there, but sometimes not with the camera on because she's like, I'm here, but I'm not feeling good. But you were so dedicated to, and I know it's because you want to be a good steward of your dad's investment because it was part of the brokerage we're going to invest in this program, and you're like, I'm going to make sure that we're getting our money's worth and we're going to see the results we want. So I feel like are a testament to the program working for you. But also while she was sick, she did mention, or Mary mentioned, that having the micro team already in place was a huge help, right? Because
Yeah.
that the girl that you guys hired, she knew what to do.
Yeah. It was such a weird thing to go from, just working a ton of hours and just like white knuckling it through every week, just me and my dad on our transaction because we were so busy. And then we added Shelly, and like, I don't even know, probably only 3 months into having her on our team, I was when I got super sick. So she's very much still learning and needs to get, wording from us and stuff, but she like has the touch too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just being able, like, I have never, since I've started in real estate, I have never literally not worked for, like, not opened email or anything, not checked in for more than like 5 days at a time. And even that is like super rare. Like I used to run a mission trip to Mexico, and it was back in the days like of not having like easy cell phone service when you leave the country. And so I would be like off the grid for those 5 days or whatever. But since then I've not, and I was sick enough that I literally just could not.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. I was like gasping for air. Sounded like I was drowning apparently. So we were able to just kind of function. And I know that my dad worked a lot of extra hours to like keep things rolling, but like our deals didn't fall apart.
Yeah.
Like our clients, I don't think had a huge sense of like, oh, what's going on? I'm not being reached out to as often as I need to be and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, it worked, and it was squeaky, right? It was like, we felt like it was a little bumpy ride, I'm sure, because our team is so fresh and new, and it's not like a well-oiled machine yet, but it was a heck of a lot better than not having a team at all.
If you didn't have the blueprint.
Yeah.
And I want to touch on a couple things she said, and then I have a question for you too. So something Mary said about it seems wrong, or we feel guilty, right, to bring on a team member or bring on an agent, and to just basically say out loud, like, I want this business for the long term, right? I don't want someone else to take my business away. And I think that a lot of team leaders are in that catch-22, especially with the traditional team model. And that is definitely what happens. You bring on a buyer's agent, they get leads from the office, which is more typical, or I say office, I mean team. And then those leads end up using them for future deals or referring them their clients or their friends. And so that one lead that you've offloaded as a team leader has turned into multiple transactions that you may not be getting the same split on, or maybe they won't even be on your team later. And it is a real fear. And that's why I think the micro team makes so much sense. So what's going to happen for Mary and her brokerage is they're going to service the clients. They have the help that is going to help them scale, but you remain the main character. You remain the primary agent that's giving them advice. And like you said, I think you said the face of the business. That's exactly what's happening. So you're going to get the referrals, you're going to get the future business, and you're the one they'll remember. And I know I know what you mean. It does feel weird to even say it, but honestly, we should stop apologizing for wanting our business to be successful and wanting to take care of our families, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's becoming like the more forefront thing that I think about too, because I used to, like, as a Christian and as a human that like ponders things, I guess, you want a job that's fulfilling.
Yep.
And a job that makes you feel like you're making the world a better place. That's really something that's been important to my husband and I. Like he does his own, he owns his own videography company, and his like kind of one of his taglines or slogans is like, "You make the world better. We show that off."
I like that.
And so he really wants to work with like nonprofits and people that are just like doing good work in the world and like showing that off, because if you watch the news, it's depressing, and you can just really easily get to thinking that the world is a pretty bleak place to live right now. And like, that's probably true, but it's also true that like things are like historically a lot better than they used to be. There's a lot less violence in the world than there used to be. And so, the world like has a lot of good. And so we want to be a part of that and be pushing the needle towards good. Right. And, so I used to like kind of hang on maybe a little bit too much to that, like those moments of like handing keys to like the first time home buyers. And like, to be honest, that's still like one of the most like precious parts of this job. I love helping first time like families like get into a place, because I bought my home and I just remember like the shift of like, this is mine, like this is ours. It's just so life-changing to be a homeowner in any capacity. And so I used to really like almost like exist in my career for that feeling. And I still really relish that. But the truth of the matter is I get to do that. I get to do an honest job in the business and like be somebody that's going to like fairly represent my clients and do a really good job and like serve them really well and fulfill my fiduciary duties. But the other half of that is that I'm taking care of my family, and not just like earning a paycheck, but I'm building a business that will serve me into, my retirement, whatever I say that in quotes, because whatever that looks like, because my family doesn't really retire. We don't know what to do with it. But, it's building wealth for my future, and hopefully my future generations, and being able to help my kids in the way that my parents have been able to help me. And it's super important. Both of those things existing at the same time, doing good in the world, doing an honest and fair job, helping people on their journey, and also like building the life and
legacy
and the legacy for my family.
And I mean, I know there's statistics out there, but don't they say like the third generation is typically the generation to lose the business? And I mean,
maybe I should go back and say I'm the fourth generation, because my great grandpa did work he didn't actually, like, it wasn't his main career, but he did work in real estate for a while. And so maybe if I don't lose it, then maybe it'll be.
You're not going to lose it. So that's my point. Like, you are. I think the reason the third generation is the generation to lose it is because they're so removed from the struggle and they're so removed from the business, right? There's just the entitlement, and that's not where you exist. It's like, I'm going to do a good job for my clients, for my business, for my family, and maybe you'll get a handed on to Stephanie one day, or.
But I think I'm going to have to fight her dad, because she really likes music and and so I don't know. Team real estate or team video photography. I don't know, but
well, luckily you guys know what you're gonna have two now. So
right. So we can each have maybe.
Exactly.
But yeah, and I feel like those things feed each other, right? Like the desire to do a good job and do good in the world, like if that can also feed me, like literally, feed my family and like help me build a legacy and wealth, then I'm motivated to keep doing a good job so that I keep bringing in business and I keep building my legacy. So I think it's such a cool thing, and it's such a privilege to be able to for that to be my career instead
Yeah.
of just having a job where I'm only able to earn a paycheck.
Yes, yes. Okay, I just have a couple more questions, and then I'll let you go. I know we're at our 30-minute mark, but Mary, how much time do you think enrolling in this program saved you versus having to just figure it out and navigate on your own?
A whole lot. I almost have to think of it in terms of like how many hours a week. I would say like right now 5 to 10 hours a week, because we are growing and figuring things out so much. Yeah, I would say that's probably my weekly time savings.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
don't know what that will accumulate to. It probably will.
Do you think
Frankly,
it would have taken you the 12 weeks that it did during the program, or would it have taken you more like 6 months, a
oh,
year, or
a
would you
year.
have ever arrived at the model that we have, you think? Or
We may have arrived at something similar, but it would have taken a year easily. It was such a catalyst because, when my dad and I were talking after he signed up for this, he said, I've kind of done this before, because he has always had at least an assistant or like a
yeah.
secretary. Back in the day, it was a secretary. Now it's an
Yeah.
assistant.
Yeah.
But he's always had like a team, but he's never had a license besides me. He's never had a licensed agent working in tandem with him.
Mm,
So you showing us your program, showing us how to do that would have taken a long time to figure out and fine tune.
yeah.
And so this was like, we were ready for it. We knew we had already like taken the steps in hiring this, new team member to do it, but we knew we had to figure it out. And so you were the catalyst
Yeah.
for making that actually happen in a reasonable amount of time instead of it taking forever and possibly really frustrating our new team member and frustrating ourselves and things like that along the way.
Yeah. Okay. And last question. If somebody is watching this and they are considering joining our micro team, what would you tell them?
I would say do it, but be prepared to put the work in, because, I don't know if I can say this on the podcast, but
Yeah, say it. Say it.
I always tell my dad and I tell myself, don't should all over yourself.
Yes. No,
But
that's
if
good.
you
That's
join
good.
something like micro teams, and you join a coaching program, if you put the money in, then you got to put the time in, because otherwise you're just going to should all over yourself and say like, oh, I really should be, putting this into practice. And like, it's going to be messy, and it's not going to feel like it's all like smooth. It will feel smoother than it would if you were trying to do it yourself, right? Because like you have all these tools and stuff that help, smooth out that bumpy road. But yes, do it, and like just like for reals, do it as fully as you can, because then you won't have any regrets. And just kind of like imagine like where could you be in 3, 4, 6 months from the day that you start something like this. It could
Yeah.
be really cool. It will probably
Because
be really cool.
you were working 40 hours
Mhm.
before or more, and now that you're going to have your baby and you have this implemented, what do you expect your time in the business to look like?
So my goal is 20 hours a week. I probably came up with that number partially like from my own head, but partially from hearing you say that you spend 20 hours in your business a week.
Yep.
And I will be able to do that after our after our hire that we're working on right now, because
Yay.
I'm getting an assistant to do all kinds of things. We're refining that job description, but
Yay.
so they will hopefully make up for like the chunk of time that I'm spending doing all of that stuff that I should delegate.
Yeah.
Right? So,
And so the goal is for Mary and for anyone that goes through this micro team model is that you exist as a team leader doing the things that you love. So I'll share what I do. You're welcome to share if you already have that defined. But for me, the only place I show up in my business is I win the business. So I go on the appointments, go on the listing appointments and the buyer consultations. And then I will show the first time the buyer goes to look at houses. I'll do that first set of showings. And then I'm negotiating contracts because I have a showing agent that's doing the rest of the showings for me. And then for the listing, I'm negotiating any offer that comes in. So winning the business, negotiating, and then I show up to kiss babies and shake hands, at closing. And so that's where I love existing. And of course, I'm the face of the business and overseeing it. But, with the level 10 meeting that we do weekly and like this system, it's really easy to hold the team accountable to doing their piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm. That's the dream. I'm not there yet at all. But that's the dream. I'm playing catch up from putting all the systems into place and recovering from my major health stuff. But yeah, I really truly think that there is, I am very hopeful that by the time this baby comes or, enters, makes its exit entrance, that will be the space I can exist in, and, that my hours will be spent actually FaceTime with clients.
Yeah.
In like majority.
It'll happen for sure. And it took me quite a while to arrive where I'm at, and to get the right people in the right roles. So yeah, that's another piece of advice I would have for someone that's looking at this program. Like, don't think it's going to happen overnight, but it's going to happen a heck of a lot faster with help and with a blueprint and, somebody guiding you through. So it's like going down a path that has booby traps along the way and having somebody right ahead of you. I'm like, don't step there, step here. Like, I feel like that's kind of what we do. You still have to go through the path, but you're just going to make less mistakes.
Yeah.
Yep,
totally agree.
Okay, well, thank you, Mary, for being with us, and we'll see everyone in our next episode.